never found three people big enough to give me the bumps.
No, and none of us will be able to count up that high now either.
No.
Right. Firstly, we'll have an update on the league matches, because obviously most of you were here last week. That was round 7, but we've had 3 other results since then from previous rounds. So round 4 was at Hazelmere. Alton came first with 69 points. We were 4th with 66. Then round 5 was on the 17th. Alton came first again with 71. And we were 3rd with 69.5. And then that was at Alton. So Alton came first at Alton. Round 6 was at Storrington. First was Storrington with 70 points. We were 2nd with 69.5. And then last week was Practicals, and we didn't come first. We came 5th with 67, as you know. And Alton were first with 69.5.
Close,
So
though, wasn't it?
Sorry?
Close.
Yeah. The scores have been very close, mate. For the top 3 or 4 in each league result, the scores are very close. There's not a lot in it at all. So in the actual
4 or
league,
5 marks covers the whole league almost, doesn't it?
yeah.
It's there's not much in it really.
No, it's surprising. And then so the scores, individual scores, Dennis backs Red Poppy. He's had 3 8.5s and a 7.5. Mike's Derwent Water, he's had 2 8s, a 9 and a 7. Trudy's Fox Club has had an 8, 8.5, a 9 and a 9.5. My Mogshade has had 7.5, 2 8s and a 10. Gary's Portland Lighthouse has had an 8.5, 2 9s and a 10. Keith Scotsman, Flying Scotsman's had an 8, 2 8.5s and a 9. Terry's Flower has had 3 8s and a 9. And Dave's Yachts has had 3 8.5s and a 9.5. So the actual league, there's two matches left. One is next week on the 10th, and the last one is on the 29th. And at the moment, Storrington are first with 59 points. We're second with 48. Alton are third with 47. And then comes Southsea, who are 4th on 38. And basically, there's 9 in the league. So if you come first, you get 9 points, 8 for second, 7 for third, 7 for third, all the way down to 1 point. So it's quite close. And Alton have picked up a couple of 4 points in the last couple of weeks. So it's going to be close, and it's the top 2 that go up. So we're in the promotion place at the moment. So that's an update on the league. So 2 more rounds to go. So I'll keep you posted when they've been done. Right. First tonight is Kev's going to do a presentation on his, what was it? What did you call them, Keith? Kev?
Something like explosions or something.
Yeah.
Or collisions or something like that. I can't remember.
Okay. Well, I'll let you share your screen. He hasn't shared his screen before properly, so I'm sure we'll be fine.
Well, let's hope. No, nothing's happening. That's better. Hang on. Oops. Hang on, something's gone wrong.
Too soon to go wrong.
I can't even get back.
Houston, we have a problem.
I can't even get back to the oops, hang on.
Back to Earth.
All I've got is my screen. I've got nothing else at the moment. How to get back onto
Oh, you probably, is it what, back onto Zoom?
yeah.
It's probably top right hand corner in a little box. Has it gone into a small box at the top right?
Nothing.
Down on the bottom in the tray, click on Zoom.
You got alt tab.
Alt tab.
Oh, tab. Where the hell's that? The say.
Alt key and tab key.
Oh
Hit the any key.
no, it's not happening. It's not happening. Oh, for God's sake! Hang on.
Presenter's curse.
It worked all just okay, all right, just
We
now,
did
but
work just a minute ago. Yeah.
Aha.
Got it?
where's- Yeah, all I do is find Zoom now. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go.
Anyway, thanks for joining us this week, everybody. See you next week.
Yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it.
2 hours of watching Kev try to log on.
Oh dear.
That's it.
Yeah. How do I get it just so it's got the screen? Because I've got all the.
Yeah, just do your run from do your go back up to home,
Oh yeah.
and then slideshow. Where's your slideshow? At the top,
Oh, yeah.
over slideshow, and then from the beginning, wasn't it? From the beginning. That's it.
Right. I hope you get somewhere. Right.
Well done.
Got it.
Right. After that triptych competition, Peter said he had a request to find out how I did it. So I didn't actually know which particular photograph that the person wanted to see, but so I thought I'd do all three of them. Now,
Yeah,
so those are the.
I think all three would be great.
Yeah, so those are the three photographs that I put in for the triptych. And so I thought what I'll do is first of all sort of say how I sort of set up my studio, which is in my garage, to show the sort of the room that I was working in, or not as the case may be. There we go. So that's basically what I've got in my garage. And you can see that the hatched area I can't use because I've got so much rubbish in there. I've got a small worktop and a very small floor space that I cramped myself into. So that gives you an idea of the sort of size of the room that I'm using. Hang on, sorry. And that's a photograph showing the worktop. On the left, there's a bit of old dark material that I've sort of hung from the roof space, and in front to the right there's another piece hanging across the doors just to so as a sort of backdrop. All the spots on the thing I didn't notice when I actually took these photographs. I think I've most probably used a small compact to take these photographs, and I didn't really take a lot of notice of what the lens was like. And that's the view to the right hand side, showing that I've got no space on that side either to put anything. Right, so I thought I'd start off with the setup for the clashing glasses. So basically, I put a workmate down there with a large container, which I nicked off my missus because she actually bought it to clean things in the oven, one of those big oven tray cleaners. But she didn't have it for very long because I had a much better use for it. The glasses were actually plastic glasses. I started off, I thought I'll drill these, which was a bit of a mistake because obviously it's split. So I actually used a bradawl, heated it up, and then just pushed it through to make the hole. And then through those two holes, one either side, I threaded a piece of fishing line, which I acquired off of my friendly next door neighbour. They were then hung from the ceiling and basically hung down so that they were roughly level with each other. And there you can see the setup over the tray. so that's basically the setup. So I've got a tray with the glasses above. I've got a Hainel Capture Pro to actual as a receiver and transmitter to pick up the actual sound of the collision, and that also had a studio flash, which was behind and roughly 45 degrees to the glasses, which is connected to the camera with a zinc cable. Behind the trays, I had a Vivitar 283 flash, which was set behind the glasses with a flash trigger. I actually purchased a lot of these off of eBay a couple of years ago because they were very cheap. But I mean, they're very good flash guns, but not to be used with a digital camera because of the power on them is so unstable. You could burn everything out. But as slave flash guns, I find them very good. The main flash is a Metz 48, and that was set in front of and level and at 45 degrees to the glasses. That's just sat on top of one of the shelves that I've got with a lot of other stuff on it, so it was sort of balanced there. The camera in front had a Hainel receiver, and the camera was set to X-Sync f/29 ISO 100 with a 68mm, 1:200, and with a 68mm focal length. Now, sorry. Now the glasses, they were, sorry, I'll go back to that one. I haven't actually shown it, but one glass had, I think it was a water with food coloring. One had, I think it was blue, and the other one was green or yellow. I can't remember what the colors were. And they were only sort of, I don't know, about a third of the way up the glass, something like that. And then what happens was one glass I pulled to one side and then let it go. So it collided with the other one. And after quite a few attempts, a lot of water flowing about all over the place, you hopefully would end up with a photograph like that. I've got loads. If anyone wants loads of them, I've got plenty, which are not very good. But and being tight with food colouring, all I did was sort of take the water out of the trough and put them back in the glasses rather than keep on using up all the precious food colouring. And so that's the sort of effect you can get. Obviously, it's all sort of done with the flash triggers, etc., to actually catch that moment of impact.
And obviously, I take it you took the wires out.
And then,
Photoshop, in Photoshop.
Photoshop took the lines out, tidied up the holes. There was also lots of extra water splashes all over the place, so I took all those out to make it a lot cleaner. So otherwise it just looked like a mass of water. So I just went through everything and picked up all the little ones and took those out. The
flash behind the glasses.
Yeah.
There's nothing in front of that between the glasses and the flash?
1, 2, 3, 4.
There was, all I did was put a bit of clear freezer bag.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We can hear you, Dave.
I put a freezer bag over that flash, and there was nothing else over it. No.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine.
So, was that it for that one?
That's
right.
excellent.
Okay. We'll go on to the next one.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Brilliant.
We'll have a go at that.
Right.
Yeah,
Was
I
that-
want the man. I'm
sorry.
Sorry, I have a question. Was there some delay on your flash trigger thing? It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't actually shot during the noise. There must have been a bit of delay to get the water up in the air. Presumably, you can adjust.
Oh
that
yeah,
or
you
something,
can
on that?
adjust the. Sorry, yes, you can adjust the delay, and it's sort of thousandths of a second that you can delay, to actually delay it. So it is very much trial and error, and sort of make a note of what you've actually ended up doing. But I found that because there are other triggers, obviously, that are on the market, but I think I found that one was the cheapest one. And
And it was.
yeah.
So it's just triggered by audio. So it held a clink.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it actually, thinking about it, it might have been triggered by the other flash. No, it must have been audio. It's a long time since I did it, and I'm sort of not very good at taking notes. I try and rely too much on my memory.
That's risky. That's risky at our age.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
I
is.
know. But I mean, and to be honest, the photograph bit is not the bit that really interests me. It's more the actual getting the thing set up and
Yeah.
thinking about the best way of doing it. I have much more fun doing that, which you'll see in the next two bits.
If only you could remember not to try and rely on your memory.
Oh, I can't remember that. God, dear. Right, the popping balloons. That is a popping balloon.
Right.
Took a lot of time to work this one out. I started off obviously investigating on the internet how to do this, and there were all very different ways that people were suggesting. One of them was basically set a balloon up with water. I'll go into that in a minute, and then basically pop it with a pin on the end of a stick. The only trouble is I found that even with a pin, the balloon would just move out of the way. So I was trying to think, it would just bounce off of the needle, which was a bit of a surprise. And then I was trying to think of a way if I could do it with a dart. And so I had to think about that. And as I'll show you what I did. So there's the balloon. This one hasn't got any water in it. So you put a water in there about, I think it was most probably less than a quarter of the balloon. And the way I did that was to put the balloon on a tap, put some water in it, and then blow the balloon up to whatever size I wanted to try, tie it off with a bit of line, then suspend that again from the ceiling. That was then placed again over my tray. I did make a bit of a faux pas. I just put a bit of board over the top so the dart could go in it. And it wasn't until a couple of months later that I suddenly thought that I could have just left the bit of board actually smaller and just basically float it in the tray rather than set it over the top. So the idea of the board is when the dart pops the balloon, it then hits the board rather than damaging the plastic tray. And this is part secret weapon. The idea was that I had the balloon suspended from the roof. Actually, I need somehow to actually get the dart to hit the balloon, because again, the dart kept hitting the balloon and bouncing off. So I ended up with a bit of waste overflow pipe, which the balloon slid down, and then suspended the balloon from that. So I knew that the dart and it wouldn't move too much. So hopefully it would pop. You can see on here that actually this piece of tube, I've actually set it onto a little bit of board which swings up and clips onto the clip you can see at the end. So it's out of the way when I'm not using it.
Right.
There you go. Because as I say, I've not got a lot of room in my garage. So this is the setup. Again, with the Capture Pro, that's up slightly forward this time of the tray and the balloon. Studio Flash is at the back with a snood. Again, 45 degrees to the actual subject. The flash gun and the receiver is again in the same position, forward and 45 degrees and level with the balloon. The camera was set to a bulb on 10 seconds, f11, ISO 100, 68mm focal length. Basically, I opened the shutter via remote control and then popped the balloon before closing the before the shutter closed. I was actually stood in the bottom right-hand corner, stretched up, dropped the balloon down the, triggered the camera, then dropped the dart, and I was in total darkness. So I was sort of falling over all sorts of bits and cable and God knows what else that was lying around. But that's basically the setup for the balloons, and that's how I took the actual photograph. It was in total darkness, and just dropped the dart down the tube. Resulting in that. I did post-production, I did take a couple of bits of the splashes out, but I didn't spend a lot of time on that. And also you notice that I don't think you can see any of the balloon. So that was a bonus. This was the best one, the sharpest one of the, it showed the dart. So I was quite pleased with this one. So any more questions on that one?
Was that audio triggered as well? Presumably from the pop? Or?
That was triggered from the pop, yes. Yeah, that triggered the lights in the camera from the pop.
Because I don't know if your one does it. Does your one do optical as well? Some of them do a beam, don't they, with a mirror on?
Yes, it does. Oh, it does infrared, audio, light. I think that's it. Yeah,
so you could actually set up like an infrared beam, and the dart would break the beam or something.
That's
and
it.
That way.
Yeah. I found it quite good. It takes quite a lot of getting used to, especially with the time, which is that is a bit of a head scratcher, that is. But persevere like anything, and should find it works okay. Right, the exploding bulbs. You can like this, not a lot. Right, the exploding bulbs. So I started off with, I bought two basically headlight holders for a car, and connected them I think they're about 100 mil apart in a section of timber. And then what I've done is I've wired them up to a 12 volt adapter, and I purchased a couple of boxes of yeah. And I thought I'd go with car bulbs because they were the cheapest, and because when I looked at the size of the full size bulbs, I was actually astounded that I'm not spending that sort of money for doing something like this. So I did actually buy a couple of boxes, But I think I only had a dozen of each, but that was sufficient for my needs. So put 2 bulbs in there. And then I thought I need something to set up, because what I didn't want to do was to try and explode the bulbs without actually finding a target to test, rather than ruin the bulb or not. So I made a little bit of a ply holder, which I fixed in front, next to the first bulb, and then drew out a bulb, put it in the hole, and then fired at the target to get the thing set up. And that's what I used, a BB gun, which I borrowed off of a friend,
Brilliant.
which basically which works off of gas, and it fires little round plastic ball bearings, basically. This particular one takes about 17 shots. I then cut in the end of the timber a groove, and the idea is that the actual trigger guard fits into that quite snugly, so that you've got control over the actual pistol, so that it doesn't move as much as it could do. So that was the view looking down onto the bulb. Now, I thought this was going to be a good idea. I made basically a backstop with some Amazon boxes and some insulation board, because I didn't know how powerful this thing was. So I placed that behind. What I will say, oops, sorry. What I will say is, I'm going the wrong way. This pistol, where am I? Sorry.
Another one. No.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Right. Now, I thought this was a very good idea. Bearing in mind that those bulbs are what, about 1 inch high, something like that, I think. And I thought, well, as I'm only about 4 or 5 feet away, I've got, you know, a very good chance of hitting the bulb.
Can't miss.
Miss, I'll tell you what, you'd be hard pressed to hit a door with that thing. I would imagine 17 shots, and they were pinging all over the place except off the bulb. So I would definitely try and find something better than one of those things. If you try to commit suicide, you'd miss.
I bet you don't get any burglars either.
Can we get Gary to test that?
That's amazing.
So this is the setup.
Wow.
Gary,
basically-
he's always getting in the shot.
So this time I had 2 Vivitar flash guns behind, because I thought that was seemed to work a bit better, and they were fired with a flash trigger. The Metz flash gun was next to the camera this time, level with the bulbs, and again you had the Capture Pro, which was to get the sound of the actual pistol firing, with the receiver next to the camera. The camera was set to f10, ISO 200 with a 105 focal length. And the result, after quite a few tries, was this. I was trying to get both bulbs exploding, but I couldn't get that. And to be honest, I haven't actually looked at it since, because I was hoping to get, you've seen the sort of the photographs of people where they fire bullets through one glass and that one's shattering and then it hits the other one. That's the sort of effect I was actually trying for, but I just couldn't get it. whether it needs adjustment on timing or whatever, I don't know yet. As I say, I haven't really had time to look further into that. And basically, I show some of the equipment that I've used in my studio. So I've got a close up to those. So that's the Studio Flash. Very cheap. It would be, it's newer, but I thought it very good for what I need. I can't see the arrows. Those are the Vivitar flash guns, and they've got hoods that you can put on that take filters, all sorts of things. And I would imagine, some of the more experienced people will recognise the Vivitar 283s anyway. They used to be, when they came out, they were called the light machine, and apparently, the things underneath them are the photoelectric cells that you can actually connect them to. That's the Hainel capture receiver and the module. Very simple to use. It just takes a bit of getting used to actually get it to work. As I say, not as expensive as most of them, and I think they're actually Irish. The camera, which is a Pentax K1, and so those are the results that I actually achieved. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is that.
Well done.
Excellent.
Well done,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Very interesting.
did, yeah.
Yes, thank you,
Very
Karen.
good.
I
I must
love
tell
the
you,
ingenuity. It's amazing.
Yeah.
very impressed. Very good.
Amazing.
Did you not think of using the gun for the balloon?
No, I didn't have the. Well, you say that, but it would have been. Yeah, it's not a problem, but
It might have been
I-
overkill.
yeah, and
Might bounce
even-
off and hit you in the face.
Well, that's most probably more than likely what would happen. As I say, I wouldn't like to use that in anger.
No, that's very
But
good.
but I have got another idea, another way of doing it, but I haven't got the opportunity to actually do that. I've actually made something to do it a different way, but I haven't had chance to actually try it because at the moment I'm in the middle of trying to build a shed cum workshop so I can actually clear the garage out and get a bit of room.
Kev,
So
do you
you've
want
had
to
a chance
get
to
those,
try
both
which
of
one?
those lights going out at the same time?
Sorry?
In trying to get both of those lights going out at the same time, you need a 2-2 rifle. That'll do it.
Yeah, that was what I was hoping to borrow, but he wouldn't let me have one.
I've got an air rifle.
I mean, the stupid thing about it is, I actually, when I was at college, I went to, because I live in Thornhill, and I went to Calshot, and I went on a pistol shooting course, and it was run by an ex-Olympic champion for pistol shooting. And it was in the main hall, I believe, from memory. And I've always worn glasses, and to be honest, I can't really see that well. And we were using the pistols to hit targets, and sort of on a pistol range, the targets are a long way away, where they seem to be. And he reckoned I was the best shot out of the lot, because he'd actually let me run the course when he had to go out for a call. And I was actually, I could hardly see the target, let alone the center. And all my shots were pretty well on the ball, which was more luck than judgment. So I would have thought I should have been able to hit a bulb 4 feet away, but
Not to be.
Aye.
Lovely, Kev. That was really interesting.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks.
We'll all have a go at that.
I'm not coming round to build up your system, though. I've got my own things to work on.
Yeah, that Newar brand is very good for low cost experimenting, isn't it?
Sorry?
You can buy a lot of that Newar
Yeah,
camera gear very cheaply, and
Yeah.
it's great
Yeah.
for experimenting.
Yeah.
And you've only got to see Peter for a supply of bulbs.
Yeah, you should have said I'd have got you some cheap bulbs.
Ev, was there any particular like YouTube channel you got that off, or just?
To be honest,
like-
I sort of looked at different things on YouTube, and most of it was just sort of seeing what you can do, and then I sort of thought, well, how can I do that? So I was more really interested in how I could actually achieve it, get the basic idea from somebody else, but then sort of refine it in my own way.
Yeah, that's all part of the fun. It's the process, isn't it? That's the fun bit.
Well, I find the fun is actually building the bits to actually do it. more
That's
than
because you're an
anything.
engineer and not a photographer.
Bit of each.
Right,
I wish I
Right.
was.
right. Go into a site, a bloke called Gavin Hoey,
Yeah.
Hoey, and
Yeah.
he does a lot of the things like the glasses and
Oh, okay, good.
loads of them. He's very good.
Yeah. His site is www.gavtrain.com.
Yeah.
Cool. Look him up.
No,
Yeah, he does camera club presentations as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watched one last
Oh,
year.
nice one.
Attended one last year. And he does that Adorama things in videos on YouTube for Adorama in the States.
And he uses a Micro Four Thirds camera.
Yeah, Olympus. Yeah.
Mm.
It's funny, he did a spooky shoot with his Hammond Camera Club, and he pulled one of the ladies out of the club and dressed her up as a witch or something. They had a bucket with green smoke, well, a flash with green filter over the top and this aerosol smoke coming out. So she sort of took the lid off the bucket and peered into it, all green witchy stuff. While we were watching him do it, it was quite good. And he did the bubble photography, the interference patterns of weird coloured bubble things.
Yeah.
He did some of that live while we were watching. So I suppose that's another tabletop thing, isn't it? The bubble things,
right.
which I had a go at.
Sorry, Jay.
If ever you get to New York City, find the Adorama place. It's enormous. It's got 3 bloody great loading bays. It's take the enormous American lorries in.
Yeah.
And the ground floor is broken down into retail sales, and the rest of it's just warehouse. But it's a superb place to visit.
And you'll find shed loads of stuff that you really couldn't live without but didn't know about it.
I've got half of them.
Oh, you've already got them, have you?
Right. One of the other things that was asked was Terry put in a few PDIs back. So, hello. Hang on a sec. Press the wrong button. Terry put in a picture of some smoke trails, and a few people have asked how they were done. Now, he sent me a link to a video.
Actually, one of them's Gavin Hoey, isn't it? That link.
Yeah, I didn't look at that one, Terry. Let me just. Right, I got this guy. Can you see that on the screen?
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll play the video first, and then I'll go through and show you what I did in trying to replicate or doing what he showed us, because I hadn't done it before, and Terry said it was fairly straightforward, so I thought even I might be able to do it. But we just got a quick video where the guy just goes through and shows you how to do it, and then I had a go at doing it myself. So I'll just play it. Let me know if you can hear him.
No.
I can't hear.
No sound, Peter.
Hey?
It's a little bit. No, it's there. It's there.
It's
It's
very
just a bit
quiet.
quiet. Can you turn the volume up on YouTube?
Yeah.
Can't hear.
Pete, if you do a reshare and just press include computer sound, there's a little checkbox.
What on Zoom?
Yeah, yeah, on Zoom, when you share it, you get your options. There should be a little tick box, include computer sound.
Well, wait a minute. What do I got to do?
Yeah, that's it. Share screen. Down the bottom left.
Oh, share sound. Right. Yeah, lovely. Okay, thank you.
All right.
I knew there was a setting somewhere, but I couldn't remember where it was.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Right.
If you haven't done so yet, please do follow me on Instagram.
Better?
It's a great place
Yeah.
to share your work,
Right.
look at each other's work, and there's also some great conversation going on there. I'll put a link down below, and I'll see you there. Okay, let's get into this. Okay, so smoke photography is a fun and abstract area of photography where you're just capturing light traveling through smoke that really creates some nice abstract images. To create these images, it's actually pretty simple. You only need a few bits of gear that you probably already have lying around your studio or your home. So let's just go through some of the things we're gonna need. So first and foremost, what you're gonna need is a camera. It doesn't have to be an expensive camera or anything particularly special, but if it has the ability to fire an external flash, then that will help you. Next is a flash, obviously, that you're going to need because it's that's going to be lighting the smoke. And something to create the smoke. You can use matches, a candle, just blow them out and it'll create lots of nice smoke. I'm using these sandalwood incense sticks. They don't smell particularly good, but they'll create smoke on a constant basis, so they're pretty good. You're also going to need a desk lamp like this, and I will reveal what that is for in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to get the studio set up and we'll go through what we need to do. Right, so we're set up, the studio's ready, so let's just go through the gear and how we are using it. So first off, we have the incense stick burning, and it's that is producing the smoke, as you can see there. What the lamp is for is just to help us focus on the smoke, and that's just lighting the smoke up so the camera has something to focus on. If I just turn this off quickly, you can really see the difference that it makes when we don't have that light. So that's without the light, and that's with the light, and that's going to make it just much easier for the camera to focus on that smoke. Next, we have the flash over there. That is coming across the smoke, and it's going to light it, the smoke coming through it from the side, and that gives it that really nice effect. What I don't want though is I don't want it light in the background because we want that to be nice and black, which is what this background here provides. It's just a very cheap pop-up background that you can find on Amazon, and also it stops the light going into the camera from the flash as well. That is a Lastalite Strobo barn door. You can use much cheaper options, just like a piece of cardboard sellotaped or using an elastic band sellotaped to the flash. Now the flash is being triggered by these fairly cheap wireless flash triggers. They can be picked up for around 30 to 50 pounds on Amazon as well. You can pay much more, but I think these days these do the trick. They do the trick for speed lights like this and for much bigger studio flash setups. So these are a pretty good buy. Next, we need to talk a little bit about settings. Because we're using flash, you want your shutter speed to be the sync speed of the flash and the camera. So in this case, it's 1/200th of a second with Canon 5D Mark IV. You can go a little bit less if you want to, but I just generally stick at the flash sync speed. It makes it easier to remember and quicker to get set up. Aperture, I'm using f11. f8 or f11 is going to work for you and get those nice sharp images with a little bit extra depth of field as well, so you're not losing focus in some of the smoke. I have ISO set at 100 and the flash power on the flash is 1/4 power. That's going to be different for your setup. You're just going to need to experiment a bit with your exposure, because if the flash is further away, then you're going to need a higher power. But you can also control that just by upping your ISO a little bit to ISO 200 or 320, something like that, and you have that little bit of control on your camera with the ISO. So the next thing is the smoke coming off the incense stick there, because if you have no wind or no movement in the room of air, it's going to be going straight up, and these are not really going to produce very interesting images. So before you take your shot, you can just waft the smoke a little bit to get that movement in it, or if you really want something much more dramatic, just give it a little blow and it'll stop, and then it'll start rising up again and creating some interesting shapes for you to capture. When you're shooting the smoke, you don't need to shoot it straight all the time, Try different angles to get the interest and produce different looking results. Just experiment, practice, do lots of different things, and you'll come up with some really artistic shots. Right, let's have a little go. I'm going to get down and take a few shots. There's no need to use a tripod here either. You can do if you want to, but here I'm just going to hand hold it and capture those shots that way. So I'm going to get down and take some shots. Okay, so I just want to get down nice and low to the level of the smoke and with it lit from the lamp. So I just need to focus on the smoke as it's rising up from the incense stick, and then just take the shot and just experiment with lots of different things. I'm going to check the back of my screen for exposure. I can increase the flash power. I can also just increase the ISO a little bit to get that right, and then just try lots of different things. So let's just try taking a few shots. Try wafting the smoke a little bit, lots of different things like I've been saying. I'm just going to shoot a few more. Okay, so they're looking pretty good. What I'm going to do now though is try attaching the macro lens, just get a bit closer into that smoke and see if I can come up with something a little bit more abstract. Okay, so macro lens is on. Let's take a few more. That's looking good as well. I'm going to flick back, try a few more, get a slightly wider angle shot, and just try a few more things. It's fun. Just keep shooting, keep shooting, keep shooting until you've got a good selection for later on. So it's actually really that simple. Just have a little play around, try different things, and experiment a little bit till you've got a nice number of shots in the camera, and then we're going to put them back into the computer and do a little bit of post-processing. So let's go back to the desk. I'll just talk very briefly about post-processing. Okay, so once we've got the images into the computer, I like to do most of my processing in Adobe Lightroom. You have lots of control over these images, but I like to maintain that black background to really make these images pop and feel really unique and special. A couple of tips I can give you though is you have loads of control over the color, similar to my water drop shots. You can use the temperature slider, the tint slider, like that, to bring out that nice green color. And you can also go down to the hue here and change the color that way as well with the slider there. You've got so much control over the color. And what you can also do, as long as you maintain that black background, is open it up in Adobe Photoshop. And so we just go edit in, open in Photoshop. That image will then shift over into Photoshop. And then once we're in Photoshop, you can really change how the image looks just by going Command or Control I, and that will invert the image to give you a really different type of feel. You can then play around with the color here just by going to the hue saturation panel, change things there, increase saturation. You can add a gradient in as well. If you click on here, just add a gradient in across there, and you can change the color that way just to bring in an extra bit of image. So we've got purple in the top left, blue in the bottom, and you can see how that works and creates different images. Use the levels panel as well just to bring out that proper white, and you have lots of control that way as well. Loads of stuff you can do. Save that, and then it goes back into Lightroom and you can export your images from there. Exciting area of photography, just a bit of fun, creates these nice abstract images, but I think you're going to have some fun with that. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave a comment down.
Right, so that gives us an idea of what to do, and it seemed fairly straightforward. So I thought I'd have a go at that. That was one that Terry had done, so that was sort of like give us a bit of an idea what you can do. So following from what he said, I've got my equipment I used. I got the external flash I set up from my remote trigger, which I purchased online. This pair was about 50 quid. So I then set up, a bit like Kevin, set up a little bit of a work place in the garage. Just got a black backdrop, little little table light, and then the flash, I've got that on a little tripod there, and I actually set my camera up on a tripod because I thought it would be easier to handle and to take the photos. So on my camera, that was the settings I used. 200th of a second. I used manual, set it up on manual, 200th of a second, which matched the flash, f11, 100 ISO. And that's what I started with. And then the triggers, you need to just set the trigger on a channel, match the two up, and that's your trigger sorted then to set the flash off because it's remote from the camera. Like I say, I've got a little mini tripod that I put the trigger on, and then the flash gun goes on top of that. Same as what he did. I set it as a 1/4 power. And then I started taking some pictures, and first thing when I reviewed them, which I didn't like, was I've got a bit of a creased background. So I wasn't in the mood to get the iron out. So what I actually did then, I've got a piece of black mounting board. So I put that up, and that then gave it a much nicer background. What I then did was I focused on the candle. I tried various candles that I had, different ones, because I didn't have any incense sticks. So I just tried out different candles to see which were the easiest to use and what gave off the best smoke. And then I started clicking away. I noticed when I look back, I was getting a bit of a bounce of light here, and realized that I hadn't set up a barn gate on the flash. So I taped a piece of paper around it, and that then stopped getting that bounce of the light. And I tried different candles, and in the end, the one that gave me the best smoke trails was a normal household candle. And what I did, I cut quite a bit of the wax away, and then lit it, let it burn for a minute or so, and then blew it out, and then that gave off some nice smoke, different smoke trails, all different shapes. And the other thing I did was what he said was to make a bit of blow them, or get a bit of, I had a lens brush air one that I pushed, and that then made the lights of the smoke trails go in different directions. So I took lots of different shots, and then I wanted to put them into Photoshop and try different things with them. Bit like what he said was, obviously opened them up, got the black background, got the smoke, and then you can try various things to adjust them. I did a couple in Camera Raw, but this one this was literally just opened up. I just did the optics, got rid of the chromatic aberration and set the lens in. But one thing I did realize, which you'll notice even more on when I adjusted some of the backgrounds, this light on the background there, which was because I only had paper round the flash head, and so there was still a bit of light coming out of the side of the flash, lighting up the back board, which I didn't really want. But one of the first things he did with his was invert that straight away. You can see how it changes completely. The smoke gives you different outlook on it, and there you can see what I was on about with that light. It's left a dark patch. So really, if I was going to use them for anything properly, I'd make sure I put a proper piece of cardboard or barn gates around the flash. And I mean that I just inverted that, which is just straightforward, either control I or up on the menu, image, adjustments, invert, and just converts it back. So that was on one of them. On another one, there was one. I opened that was the open. I inverted it, and then I just opened it in Camera Raw filter and just played around with it. So open it, invert it, then go filter, Camera Raw filter, and just play around with the temperatures, a bit like he did. You know, it's just down to personal choice what effect you're trying to get. Change the tint and temperature. So there was lots of things you can do and just play around with it. Depends what it is you want to do with it. And then the third one that I tried was that was where I opened that in Camera Raw, and what did I do? I just changed the sliders on there to get ourselves a nice blue background. And that was about it.
Very good.
It was fairly straightforward. Like he said, I hadn't tried that before, and I think it really depends what you want to do and how much time you want to spend on playing around with the different smoke trails, really.
I've got a few comments on.
Yeah, I was going to say, was that pretty much how you did it, Terry?
Yeah, except it'd be better if you had more separation from the background and your subject, and then the background doesn't get lit up and you have a lot less trouble. But I didn't use a background at all. It was just the room, but it was like 12 feet away to the, I was sort of shooting the smoke in midair. And the snoot on the flash is to try not to light up the background at all.
Yes, which is what mine was doing, wasn't it?
Sideways, yeah.
Yeah.
But if the background is a lot further away, that helps.
Yes.
You don't need the wireless things. You could probably do it with a wired connection, which is cheaper. But also the cheapy that Colin said did in Neewer or or whatever, they do a remote transmitter with 2 receivers for 26 quid at the moment.
Yeah.
On Amazon, and I think it's 18 quid for one receiver, and they do them on offer sometimes on the today's deal or something. So
I've bought a fair bit of that newer equipment, and it's good stuff for what you pay.
Well, Neewer just badges stuff. I mean, they badge Godox stuff and Yonggu stuff, is it? I pronounce it. So you buy stuff from them, but it's got Neewer written onto it, but it's Godox, and it's just exactly the same. It even takes Godox firmware updates and stuff.
Yeah.
And cheaper. They're sort of a rebadging place. So you could do it with a wire. You could do it with really cheap radio transmitters, and you're firing a flash sideways to not light up the background, and black background helps, but also if you increase the distance, it helps. And possibly
I didn't garden if I'd moved further back, you see.
Well, no, it's a background, and you probably I didn't really need an extra light to focus on, but it's a bit variable. If you've got enough light to focus on the smoke, maybe that's good. Or if you stop down a bit, you can probably just focus on the end of the candle. And joysticks work a lot better than candles because joysticks.
It's only because I couldn't be bothered to go out and buy any.
Yeah, well, Amazon do them. I bought a big box of them. If we were meeting again, I'd hand out some.
Bring some along. I'll swap you some candles.
Yeah, they're not sandalwood though. There's some other smell, but they weren't that unpleasant.
I thought people had
and then the other thing people do, they change the colours. You can do that, but also in Photoshop, people liquefy them.
Right.
You
Yes.
know, some of mine that I did look like a hairdryer or an alien or something. Have I actually got any? I didn't, but some people do.
Yeah. Yes.
Let me see it.
Yeah. I think.
That like that one. Can you see in that?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You've
Yeah, I mean
liquefied
that. No, I didn't. That's just how it came out, and,
Oh, right.
and that one looks like an alien, doesn't it? That's just sort of random and lucky. But some people do liquefy them to make them all look something more recognizable, and they also will do mirrors and kaleidoscope type things. Is quite an interesting effect you can do with them.
Yeah.
So you'll see people doing, you know, into quadrants and whatever. So there's quite a lot of options in post processing and changing the colors and inverting the brightness and things. And you can do a bit to get rid of the light in the background. If you use joysticks, you tend to get little bits of ash, bright bits of ash as well in them, which you need to take out. But
Right.
the candles
Yeah.
maybe not so bad.
I was just happy I managed to do it so quickly, and it sort of seemed to work. It was. He did say it was fairly straightforward.
It's not that hard if you got to have a flasher, haven't you? You know.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But it was interesting, and it, you know, within an hour you up. Well, half an hour when it's all set up, and you just playing around with them on your desktop, and then you can obviously still go out and reshoot if you want to get a particular shape or you're looking to do something. It's endless, really, isn't it? The possibilities, just down to your own choices or what you're trying to achieve with it.
Very it's a very similar setup. You know, once you've got your kit and your little black screen or, you know, or no screen and stuff, it's you know, the water drops that I did, it's a very similar setup.
Yeah.
You know, you could have a day where you just do a bit of each, couldn't you?
Yeah.
While you've got the kit out, have a play with that.
Yeah, because we've still got another month to go, haven't we, before we're really allowed out.
Yeah.
Fill in the afternoon somehow.
I can do a water drop one sometime if anyone's interested.
Yeah.
I know, because who else had a go at it last PDI comp? Someone else did some water drop fun.
Yeah, I think a few people have done it.
Was that you, Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put the triptych in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good
We
fun.
did it one evening a few years back, didn't we? With Malk had all the gear and he had a trigger and that. And we had a lovely evening trying to get it to work.
Proper trigger.
Say again, Bob?
Kerry's actually got the proper trigger, so you can get the two drops together where it
Yeah.
makes like the mushroom.
Right.
That's not cheap. They're about 170 quid.
Yeah, that's quite involved, but you don't need that to do. Well, you need it to do the double drops. I mean, basically, when a drop hits the water, it kind of makes a hole, and then the hole collapses in on itself, and when it smacks in the middle, it shoots a little column of water upwards, and then that column of water tends to leave drops behind as it falls down again. But if you time it so that another drop hits the column on the way up, that's when you get these sort of umbrella type things, the fancy ones that look like ballerina dances, ballerina dresses and tutus and things.
Yeah, I had a go at it a few years back, but I think half the interest and fun of it is just trying to actually, if you use a trigger, I suppose it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, but it's more fun doing it manually, I think.
You can't, you can't do the double ones, or it's almost impossible. But the single ones, you just need a plastic bag and prick it with a pin so it drips.
And it's good fun.
It's good fun,
and you can still get some quite interesting ones from that.
Yeah,
although it's
quite interested in having a go at doing something like Kevin's done. Especially if there's a gun involved, I might invite Gary over to give me a hand.
Why not try the shotgun?
I'm not going to let him hold the gun, I'll tell you that. Right, is that all okay?
Yeah.
All inspired you to get out there and take some photos when you're stuck indoors?
Where can I get some joss sticks?
I don't know.
Are they incense sticks? That's the word for them, right?
Yeah.
Incense sticks or joss sticks, yeah.
Amazon.
Amazon?
Amazon,
Yeah,
yeah.
well,
Can you get
everything
any
else.
odor-free ones? Because they stink, don't they? So if you're not keen on
No, they
that,
smell quite nice, but that's the other one. That's the thing that I was saying about.
It depends
Gavin
whether you're
Hoey, that-
smoking marijuana at the time.
yeah, you want to cover it up.
So I've heard. So I've heard.
What is that
Apparently,
then, Terry?
apparently.
That's basically one of the bubble photographs. Like I said, Gavin Hoey did it at the
Right.
camera club that I went to. So basically, that's there are actually interference patterns on the surface of a bubble lit by a soft box above from a flash.
Oh, right.
But it's crazy, really. Basically, light reflects from the top surface of the bubble, and it reflects from the inside surface of the bubble. But the thickness of the bubble is however many millionths of a meter or something, and it ends up creating interference patterns because the phase of the light from the reflection from the top and the inside is different. So those weird patterns are actually just indications of how thick the bubble is at those particular points.
Right.
And that varies with the wavelength of the light. So this one hasn't got any color in it. I'm not sure I've got one that has got much color in it, but oh, that one's better.
I tried
That's
doing
good.
that.
Yeah,
I tried doing
that's a
some of
small.
that the other week.
Yeah.
That's a small section, and because the wavelength and the interference patterns depend, or the interference patterns depend on the wavelength or color of the light, you get these weird colored patterns as well. Although in that one, you can actually see, if you look closer, you can see the weave of the diffusion thing on the softbox. This
Yeah.
actual weave of the cloth that it's crazy, really. But that's another sort of desktop thing you can do, not too difficult.
Yeah. Lots to do.
Yeah, I tried it the other week, but I kept getting a lot of reflections. I was doing it in the conservatory. I was getting a bit too many reflections. I was
Yeah.
trying to
Too
keep
much
the
light
bubble
coming from
going
different
long enough.
angles.
Yeah.
I think some people manage to do it with the sky, I think, but otherwise you need a fairly big softbox because you're actually seeing a reflection of the
I had a
softbox in the bubble.
softbox, but trouble keeping the bubble going long enough.
Yeah, some guy. There's a video on YouTube, but I'm really annoyed because he didn't say how he did it. But he reckons he can keep bubbles going for tens of hours, for days, or something, because he reckons the heat from the softbox energizes the bubble and it keeps circulating and re-establishes itself from the liquid in the bottle, in the tray that is, the saucer that he's got doing it. And it did seem to last for ages, but he didn't say what was in the softbox or how it worked really. But usually they only last for a minute or so.
Yeah.
Put glycerine in the water.
That helps, yeah. Or it's not. Is it glycerine or some other stuff? They call it something else.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is now. They've got another name for it, haven't they?
Yeah, actually, it is glycerine. Yeah. Yes, that helps the bubbles to last longer. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
I was
Okay.
going to ask, did anyone have any fun doing the full moon we've just had? Did anyone get any shots of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I took
We
one
tried
through
to
the
get some
trees.
over the docks Saturday night, me and Gary.
It was a nice clear. I was quite pleased. I managed to get some, and then I went on. I had Canon Photo Plus mag came through. I'll just share it. This chap got a really lovely moon shot, and he's see that one? And I was really interested on how he did it. Martin Brown. He's not local,
Right.
is he? He's not a local chap, is he?
It might be. If
Anyway,
it's
he said what he did here is he had 186 image stack, and it was it's incredible detail he's got on it. And I just wondered, did he just literally stack them together, or did something else? I messaged him to find out. Not heard back yet.
if it's Mike Breen, he lives down in Leamington.
No, it's Martin.
Is it?
Martin Brown.
Yeah.
I was going to say puts a lot on
Yeah.
YouTube.
There's actually a program called Registax, which is designed for that, and in particular, it's designed for people who take videos of stars, weak stars, and it goes through all the frames from the video and selects the sort of clearest ones because a lot of the distortions from atmospherics So you might take 1,000 frames in a video of a star or something, and it will pick the best 200 and then stack them, average them together. So I think it's called Registax, and there's another one called PI Pip or something that helps with that. So search for Registax, you'll probably find something.
Cheers, Terry. That's cool.
We got it coming up through the crane, or tried to get it coming up through the cranes.
Oh yeah, nice. I hope you planned it on Photo Pills.
Yes, we did.
You did, really?
Yeah.
Did it? Yeah. Did it work out? Was it useful?
Yeah. Well, if I used it, it was very useful. If we let Gary have a go, we'd still be there.
It gave you an idea of where you could go to shoot at a certain time. Eh?
That's one that I got. See it?
Oh, awesome!
Nice and pink,
Yeah.
reddish pink. But I haven't really. All I've done is just crop that in. I haven't done anything. But we couldn't. I got it up here later on, but it had lost its colour by then. But yeah, it wasn't the best. You need a landmark really to get that to get it looking really good, I think.
Yeah. I guess that's where the photo pills could be useful though, that if you run a search, it might be in a year or two, but you might get the right height at that position.
Yes. Yeah.
But you're there doing it.
Yeah, we did, all joking aside, we did use photo pills and it did come up exactly where we anticipated it coming up. So we did get it set up correctly eventually.
But it just lost its glow, that's all.
Yeah, just as soon as it got up, the colour went out of it and it was just right.
That's interesting.
But no, it was all right. We went down Goatee Beach, where we went last year, down Ealing.
Nice.
To walk round. And there was quite a few people there that were waiting for the moon to rise, weren't they, Gary?
Yeah, and a very low tide, wasn't it?
Yes.
We could have walked across the river, I reckon.
Well, yeah, we went down the little slip path there to the water's edge, and Gary said to me in his famous last words, "It's not slippery." You just know what's going to happen, don't you? You have to then make a decision. Do you follow him down there or don't you?
No, you get the camera out.
You just make sure everything breakable's tucked away. But it was all right. It was we learned a bit, so that which was good. And I think there's some more. Well, I think I'm starting to look at putting the program together for sort of April onwards. So I still need some ideas, but I noticed April the 27th, I think it is Tuesday night, and that's when the next supermoon is. So whether we want to look at maybe having a night out somewhere, we could put that in because it is a Tuesday night.
Brilliant.
It's
You're
fine.
right, clear sky.
Do what?
You're right, the clear sky.
Many trips out as possible.
Yeah, we need the clear sky, obviously.
We need to book it.
Yeah.
Yeah, put your order in now.
Yeah. Well, maybe we shouldn't announce the date out loud because normally as soon as we mention it, that's the weather gone.
What date was that?
I think it's Tuesday the 27th of April.
Yeah, that's right. That's the next supermoon. Yeah,
it's a supermoon of some.
According to photo pills.
So perhaps we could have a night out then.
Sounds
it'll
good.
be a bit later, won't it, before it comes up? Although you can obviously beforehand we can find out what time it will rise on photo pills.
27th of April.
Yeah.
Where are we thinking of going?
Well, I don't know, but I think you need to be.
The subject,
I think
don't
you need to have something of interest that's sort of reasonably well known, isn't it? I mean,
Shirley Police Station. In
Yeah.
the background.
I know. It'll take you back to your childhood, Dave, will it? To your youth.
No, I never saw the outside.
The Statue of Liberty looked really nice with it this weekend, so maybe that's a
trip over there.
If we're allowed to go abroad.
What about Farley Mount? What about Farley Mount? That'd be nice and dark.
Yeah.
Try it.
I think you just need something of interest to silhouette with it, or
The only thing, I popped over there, Dave, and had a go at that, but the timing wasn't right and all that. But the only thing was a lot of bushes around the actual mount. So if you're trying to get it in there as a subject, it doesn't always work. But maybe on that day, it might be okay.
Yeah. Well, maybe what I'll try and do is have a look on Photopeals and check some local landmarks and actually get Photopeals to calculate whether it would be any good doing it.
Yeah.
Was that one come
Who's
out?
got
That
a
was from
chain?
the,
Anybody got a battery operated chainsaw?
that's from the,
Cathedral or something like that.
this, is
That
that
one's
one
all right,
showing? That's
Terry,
from
isn't
the,
What
it's
you
from the
got there, Terry?
26th.
Nice.
It's from the 26th, and it's through the oak trees in our garden. So although they're
Yeah.
a bit dark, but it's sort of framed by that. But
Yeah,
I say
lovely.
they don't look so good. Full moons don't look that good. And when they're low in the sky like that, you tend to get more atmospheric distortion, so they don't come out as clear as when they're higher up, I think.
Yeah.
You're better
But,
off maybe
yeah.
got a couple of days either side sometimes when it's starting to go.
Well, no. Well, half moon, you actually get to see the textures, and you see shadows, don't you? You get to see the craters. So, but I think when it's higher up in the sky, it's actually going through less atmosphere, isn't it? So you get less atmospheric distortion. If you're looking for it being sharp, anyway. But
Oh, right.
then the moon kind of looks the same all the time, anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's more about the gear than most things. It's been lucky with the atmospherics and having a big lens, basically, is what counts.
Yeah, it's just nice if you can get something nice for it to be for it to come up on, isn't it? To have in the front.
Yeah, having ET on a bicycle, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to just to run something by you all quick. I'm going to set up Ray Craig Photography. I'm going to offer some perhaps some online tuition for beginners, photography for beginners. I don't know if it's something anyone's done in the past or anything like that.
No.
You think it's a good idea or a mad idea? I've put I'm going to try a few out, sort of an hour and a half online, charge a little bit of money, maybe 20, 30 quid, one-to-one, maybe small groups, and then run through things that perhaps I've learned over the last couple of years. So it's testament to you guys that I know a little bit now, I can pass on to others. Yeah.
Just watch out for the guy who wants to show how clever he is. And if it's in a group session, he wants to show that he's better than you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happens a lot.
Yeah, that's good advice, Colin. Yeah, I'm open to, people who perhaps just almost want to dust off their DSLR or, they're not sure what's what and run through exposure triangle, things like that. And also, I'm going to hopefully be able to show and demo a few photos and depth of field just sat at the desk, while we're still in this sort of semi-lockdown period.
Yeah, well, whatever.
So if you wouldn't mind, if I get it out there, maybe I could link it to you all. If you do know, people who might want to jump on it, that'd be much appreciated.
Yeah.
What you also might want to do, Ray, is to have 2 or 3 members of the club sit through what you're planning to do. So
Okay, yeah.
remote people then start to see what it is you're pushing across, and they can advise you on how to improve it.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I'm not in a mad hurry. I've put in some dates, I'm using Eventbrite, which is quite good for booking it up and that. But yeah, absolutely that. I've tried it out on a friend of mine. It took 2 hours, to be honest, so I want to sort of squash it down a bit. Various people are doing it, some pro photographers, some perhaps are trying to bring in a bit more money. I'm doing it sort of partly for fun because I'm on furlough with work. I've got a bit more time to do it.
Yeah.
When I go back full time, I might not be able to. So next few weeks, I'll try it out, see how we get on. But
that's good. Sounds
any
like a good
feedback
idea.
would be great.
Yeah, you might also look at the local library service, Hampshire Library stuff, because they I think it's kind of died a death with COVID, but they would put some courses on held at local libraries in person, and then possibly doing some Zoom ones. And there used to be some grants which may or may not exist anymore because I think it was tied in with the EU, but you could actually get grants for like adult learning courses where the council would pay you to put the courses on. The courses were free to the attendants. So
Good shout, mate.
look at Hampshire Library Service and I don't know, ask about it. But like I said, there were some adult education things funded by the EU, where college lecturers would do free photography courses, and there seem to be some of those organised through the libraries, local libraries as well. So, but whether that's gone away now with Brexited, I don't know.
The only thing I can say, Ray, is keep it short, because most people's attention spans are about 20 minutes. So keep it about half an hour.
I think that's very wise. A friend of mine, I tested it on. It was just a bit, can be a bit of a brain bender, can't it? Putting in too much at once.
Yeah, little and often.
I'll show you just quick. I know you probably want to get going now, but I'll just show you quick what I've got so far. This is Eventbrite. So I've just put together, just whacked a picture on there and put a name up. And then I've got a few little dates on there people can choose. And I've put some evenings, but also some daytime ones. And I've just put in there, your way around your camera, lens and kit, DSLR versus mirrorless, mysterious, the mysteries of the exposure triangle, an intro to editing. Even that is quite a lot for one session. So I might have to...
Jesus, that's a course.
Yeah.
Some people have broken it down into like 4 weeks. Other people have done it in, say, a morning session. But I think you're right. I think it's got to be careful not to squeeze in too much. I want people to enjoy it.
I'd run the editing skills as a separate thing. I think that'd be too much.
I used to train camera operators for aerial photography. And the relationship between shutter speed, aperture, and ISO, doing it properly takes 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because the exposure triangle, which you talk about, everybody goes on about the exposure triangle, but it doesn't actually tell you the relationship. It just says they're related. And then people start adding little words at the various apexes. But nobody I've seen explains what happens. If you want to increase your shutter speed by 2 stops, what do you do with ISO or aperture or both? And which way does one go and the other go? What's the origin of those strange aperture numbers? Because someone will ask you, why is it 2.8?
Yeah, why is it a small number with a big hole, and how does it all?
Yeah, and unless you know it backwards, which I damn well made sure I did, because there's always some little arsehole who's going to ask you that question. Take my word for it. And so you've got to be ready with your answers. And yeah, so if you're going to do that lot in one session, the risk is it ends up as superficial. You might want to do it as others have just suggested, in multiple sessions.
Yeah, break it down a bit. Yeah, okay. No, that's good. I think the editing as well, you're right. I think for me, it might just be, look, here's a quick editing a raw file, that's that, or just mention of it. Because you certainly can't go into it too much, can you?
You've got another topic there already, haven't you? RAW versus JPEG.
Yeah. I think ultimately it's will people pay for it? We'll see. If not, it doesn't matter. It's fun. It's fun. I enjoy teaching people things. So
yeah, so
get it out there, give it a go, eh?
Talking of which, is there anything anybody wants covering in the next week, in the next month or so?
Yeah, reciprocity failure.
That's a blast from the past, Kerry.
Well, that's where I come from. That's where my roots are.
Yeah.
I understood what you said. I'd give you an answer.
Don't you?
I didn't know if there was anything anybody was stuck on, or that somebody else could help with, or we could go through? Hang on, one at a time.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's lots. Maybe it's some things that will come up later. But
Yeah,
hang them over. Eh?
We've got a few things we're going through in the next few weeks. Next week, Gary's going to go through mirrorless versus DSLR.
Cool.
And then the week after, Keith is going to be doing blend mode, theory and practice. And then we got a PDI. So that's the next 3 weeks taken care of. But after that, we've got 1 or 2 little gaps. So if there's anything anybody wants any advice on, or wants us to go through or look at something, or if
Could
anybody's got
probably knock
anything they
out
want a demo.
I could probably knock up a bit of a compositing one. If
Yeah.
anyone's interested in that. I'm sort of in the middle of doing a little course on it, and Keith and I have been working on some bits before. So, you know, talking about in, 4 or 6 weeks time, something like that.
Yeah.
If anybody does actually want to know where those strange aperture numbers come from, I've got a sort of a beginner's guide to that I wrote years ago. But
They're not that strange.
well, as a
Damn
mathematician
sure.
in my previous career, I find them very straightforward. But many people look at them and think, Jesus.
Well, you've got to understand his route too.
Well, yeah, but it's only F1 and F1.4, and then multiply them by 2 alternately. So F1 goes to F2, and F1.4 goes to 2.8. And
well, yeah, the relationship of the numbers is root 2, but it's a question of most people I've ever spoken to don't actually, not that I'm completely comfortable with, they don't actually know the actual origin of the numbers.
R squared.
Yeah.
Most people who are moving into photography, they're interested in taking pictures, and their eyes glaze over.
That's right.
Get back to basics.
Yeah, that's it. And as you say,
I put the cheapy new triggers in chat.
Yeah, lovely.
Thanks, Terry. I've got the young Nuo ones similar to that. They're really good. About the same, probably all the same, aren't they?
Well, no, your ones will do TTL and stuff, clever things. These are really dirt cheap ones, just trigger, no controls, no nothing.
Pete, can I add on a
And
list? Sorry, I was just going to say whilst on my head, Terry, macro. I'd like to know a bit more about macro lenses and stuff. Dave Murphy's been helping me out a bit with what to look for, but if anyone's got some lenses or can demonstrate it a bit, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay.
To be honest, you should. Well, I can't remember the web address, but Cambridge Color, I think it's called. There's a thing on macro lenses and close up.
Is a brilliant website.
Yeah, I mean it's quite basic, but it covers all the basics. Cambridge Color, macro lenses, extension tubes, close up lenses.
And some other members might advise you the best thing to do with macro is to practice.
Yeah.
Find out why it didn't come out the way you wanted it, and then find out what you need to do to correct it. Because all the demos and theory in the world will not solve your macro challenge at all. You need to practice it.
Especially the lighting if you've got a 35mm macro lens.
That's difficult.
Bordering on impossible, yeah.
Didn't we have a PDI for a year or two ago on macro close-ups?
I'm not sure.
Did I want it?
I think we must have done.
I want it with the hoverfly with a weird name that you couldn't pronounce.
No, we had a PDI. I think it was Challenges of Macro or something.
Oh, was it Challenges? Oh, okay. There was something macro because I put the hoverfly in. Ephemius Batis something or other, and the bumblebee. I'm sure we did.
Well, this was going over the various options from what I remember. We had what do you call them? Reversing rings and couplings.
Yeah, I'll have a look back through. I've got a record of all the things that we've done.
Okay, well, it's just that might be a good starting point for everyone to have a look at.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that.
That'd be cool.
Like I say, and if it's a bit like tonight, if we can do it where someone's had a go at doing it and can explain their experiences, it makes it a little bit more. It's a bit easier than trying to read it out of a book or online, I should say.
Yeah, you can ask questions then.
At this moment of time, where do I go after A?
Where do you go after what?
A.
B.
A or P.
Oh, what on your what camera? Have you
I've
turned it on?
forgotten.
Turned it on already?
It's-
Have you?
It's,
Good idea.
Didn't have to do that in the old days.
Right. Okay, folks. I think that'll do us. Thank you all very much.
Awesome.
Kevin, thank you.
Kevin, that was awesome.
Yeah,
Peter.
brilliant.
Excellent,
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely.
Love it. Really inspiring, mate.
Yes, Colin. Sorry.
And your reference
and
to your
Peter's
notes,
as
your
well.
handwritten notes was wonderful.
Have you heard anything from the centre?
No.
The government's come up with its roadmap.
Oh no, I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
It will go to Barry first, but he normally forwards it straight on, and I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't had anything from him.
Okay.
Well, it
Because I
won't be
suppose-
till after June the 21st anyway, will it?
No, it won't. No, June the 21st is a big D-Day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe. Depending.
Yeah. The question is not so much the date that they start, but the date that we can run as a club
Yeah.
together, or split down as a remote and a club. That's
Yeah.
the difficult part.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Well, as soon as we hear anything, I'll obviously pass it on to everybody. But we haven't heard anything yet.
Cheers.
I think everybody is going to be vaccinated in a couple
Yeah,
of
I
weeks,
think
aren't they?
so. We were all. Who's not been vaccinated now?
Me.
I'll get them tomorrow.
You two youngsters.
Yeah, the people stood at work.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Oh, oh dear.
I got one this
May
week.
time, isn't it? 50 clubs, May time.
Yeah, you think you two guys are supporting all of us with our pensions and not.
I know.
You're not
Bill to
working
pay
hard.
off.
Yeah, that's all right.
What are you doing, sat there? Why aren't you working? Get out.
Get on with it.
That's right.
And can we have some more money off of you?
When the government inflate their way out of it and the pensions become worthless.
Yeah.
Then they lose all their voters when that happens.
Yeah.
The majority are retired.
It's
Well,
both
have,
of
they, have,
them,
they,
isn't it?
have they got any left anyway?
Let's hope they're not going to affect us old folk too much.
There's a new plan they're going to announce tomorrow in the budget that they're going to start paying pensions in Bitcoin.
Oh,
Good luck.
Actually, pension funds are doing all right because old people are dying off earlier.
All goes on to
Pension
be in
funds
the
are doing
same
quite
one
well.
as Tesla.
Yeah, like they're saying the death rate in the over 80s is has dropped, but then actually the number of people over 80 has dropped. Anyway,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Can only wipe them out once.
Well,
Okay,
don't look at it.
folks.
My mother-in-law's 97 and she had a vaccine about 12 days before she got COVID and survived.
Right.
Mm.
Right, folks.
I-
I'll see you all
All right.
next Tuesday, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
See you later.
Okay,
Bye.
good night.
Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 Good night.
Night, night, Jim Bob.
Ah, there you are.
And then there was two.
Just the two of us.
Yeah.